So I made that first video and everyone seemed to love it for some reason. Stop watching videos about game dev and just go and make fucking games. I said it in the first video, I'm not a YouTuber, this is not entertaining, it's raw, unfiltered information, not flashy lights and Subway Surfers, it's just like a talk, where I'm talking. It's Saturday, I'm hungover, here's another video. I'm also cheating a bit this time because it has a script. I've got some text on each slide that I'm reading out when I go through the slides. Again, obligatory credibility slide where I'd show off and say, look, I'm an actual game dev, I'm not an imposter, I did things. Okay, so this video is like about motivation, because it's like one of the top things people seem to ask on social media and subreddits and stuff, or just ask me directly, is like how to stay motivated. So I'm going to answer that question in the best way I can. But I need some background first. So this is what motivation looked like for my first game. It was super motivating at the start, just kept going up, stayed there for a bit, super enjoyed it, dipped a bit when I started making content and just content, all the systems were made, and everything was already designed. And then just before you release it, or I released it, I was like, this game's fucking shit. And then for the second game, very similar pattern, but that initial hype lasted a bit less long, and then it dips, and then you're in like hell for longer until you release it. Game 3, exactly same as game 2, again squashed again. So super motivated, then you fucking hate it, and then you're in this development hell for fucking ages, again until you release it. So what have we learned, eh? What have I learned? The initial spark when you make that game, or when you start making a game, fades pretty quickly. What I've learned is that the less I design the mechanics of the game before I start, the more fun development is, because I'm still designing the game as I'm making it, which is super fun. The more games I'm making, the less motivated I seem to be, in general. But the good news is I can still work while unmotivated and still make cool shit. Now here's the thing. Nobody wants to hear someone say, hey, I released this game, please go check it on Steam and give it a wishlist or buy it. I hate it fucking sucks. Like, no one's going to say that because they want you to be hyped about their game. So they're always going to say that they love it. It's like the best thing they've made and they spent 10 years making it and it's their dream project. No one's actually going to say that they actually don't like the game anymore. So that's what you hear. Everyone says that about their games. So newer developers think that they should love their game, and if they don't love their game, then something's wrong. I don't think that's true. I think it's natural to hate your offspring. It's fine. So you might think that I actually hate my games and I'm super burnt out and I hate everything. That's not actually true. It's just when I release the games, I don't like them. And then the more time since release, the more I seem to like them again. The first game I made, Zappling, is probably the game I love the most. And I think that's because it was released the furthest away in the past. If I'd made a game before that, I think that one would have been my favourite. Alright, so what's the solution to my motivation problem? Being stubborn is super important, and not being precious about your game. I will, English language is weird. I will think this thing into existence, even if I don't like it. That's like, is always in my head. Just being completely stubborn with it and just keep fucking going. Designing games that are achievable as well. I could never make a game for like more than 5 or 10 years. I couldn't stay motivated for that long. I mean, as much as I say you shouldn't rely on motivation, at some point it will give if I'm doing the same thing for that long. I need to be creative in some manner, and that most of that creativeness comes when I initially start designing the games. Another thing I've learned to do is get back to just enjoying the process of developing, of making games, of making content, and not being motivated by releasing games, or motivated by doing a demo, or motivated by getting players to play your game or making money. Is so much more sustainable if you're actually enjoying the process of making the game. And getting back to that is something that I've been trying to do. But here's the weird secret, right? Players don't know what you had in your head when you released the game, or when you designed the game, or what you wanted to make. They will always take the game at face value. So they play the game, they might enjoy it, and they'll presume that everything that was in the game was everything that was meant to be in the game. So you might not like the game because you planned for 20 bosses, you planned for multiple endings and a whole narrative arc that you just couldn't fit, or you didn't have time, or you didn't have the development skills. The players don't know that. They presumed you meant to make a smaller game, or they presume you meant to only have 5 bosses. So they just accept it for that, And it's like, how? That's how they designed it. That's how they wanted it to be. So don't get too hung up on what you wanted and just try and accept the game for what it is. Next thing to do is to make sure that you basically remove everything else from your life. Like, game dev is the only thing in your life. Don't make any friends because they're distracting. If you do have friends, make sure you kind of cut them off, push them away. When you're burnt out from releasing a game or from making a game, just learn to keep working. Like, don't take breaks. If you don't have a project to focus on, then you might fall into depression. So you just make sure that game dev is your escape from reality. That way your whole well-being relies on game dev. So that way you can't give up. Same goes for family. Keep them away. Move away if you have to. Make sure they're super far away and they can't contact you, because they are also distracting. Make sure all your hobbies are inside, like reading, watching TV, playing games and making games. That way you never have to leave the flat and you're always close to your workstation. So if you get an idea, you can go and work on it like straight away. Also, no pets. Pets are bad. Too much love. You want to be like away from that stuff. They also can force you to go outside to like take shits and stuff, so you want to stay inside. Also, if your whole identity is based around your career, that way when you do meet new people, you have nothing interesting to say because your whole life is your work. That way you don't make too many friends outside of game dev, and the game dev friends are useful. All the other normal friends, they're not useful to you. And when you do make a friend in game dev, make sure you like really smooch off them. Make sure like they are an important person, so every time you meet someone new, you can say you met that person. And they're like, whoa, you're important just like that other person. It's like a psychological trick. Oh, and make sure the first question you have for people is how many copies did you sell? That's a super cool question. Either they're not in the game dev space, that way it means you're better than them. You're like the creative guy. And if they are a game dev, chances are they haven't released their game yet, so then you also look better than them. And if they are a game dev and they've released their games, then they're giving that information up front. So you can say that you've either sold more copies than them, and if you haven't, because they've already given the information, you can lie and make sure that you're always on the upper hand in that conversation. It's a win-win. Oh, and finally, this is one thing I did. Every time you release a game, get a tattoo of that game on your skin. That way your achievements are always on display. It's also a very clear reminder that you have value as a human being because you've created stuff. Other people don't have that. You also need to make sure that if you fail, then you're in a really bad situation. So when I made Zapling, my first game, I quit my job and I made half of the game pretty much when I was on benefits and living in like this windowless cupboard using a desk that I'd made out of pallets that I'm pretty sure had like those markings on them, which basically meant that they were used to transport dangerous chemicals. It's alright though, because I'm already brain damaged, so that just might give me a boost. Another cheat code is to live in a country that you have like a good benefit system, so you can just kind of smooch off the government while you're secretly making a game, and just do some job interviews but never really get any. It's pretty useful. There's also some kind of net if you really do fail that hard. There's some kind of system in place to make sure you're not homeless straight away. Ultimate cheat code, wish I had this one, rich parents. Rich parents funding your game, that's the gold. Okay, you followed all these steps, right? Still didn't work. Maybe you released a couple games, they didn't sell very well. The good thing is then, because you've released the game, you can start a YouTube channel, and you start telling everyone else that you're some kind of game dev guru. You'll soon probably realise that YouTube money isn't actually that great. You have to do like super well to make a lot of money on YouTube. So you start selling a course as well. You need to have a course and a YouTube channel. They say in a gold rush, sell shovels. It's kind of the same thing for game dev. There's so many game devs out there, and instead of having like people who want to play games being your market, you've shifted and you're selling stuff to other game devs instead. And then eventually time passes, all the stuff you did learn about making games is kind of outdated, and you kind of stop making games, so you just did YouTube instead. And then you're going to get some kind of imposter syndrome, kind of rightly so. And then by that point your channel should be big enough to start getting other younger, more relevant game devs on your channel, and then you can start a podcast as well. That way you've got 3 revenue streams. You've got YouTube, you've got the podcast, and you're still selling that course. Every time you release a video or a podcast, you get more people on the course. That way you can do talks as well, like at events and shit, and they pay you to do that and fly you out. So it's like a free holiday. And you can get these talks because people seem to think that likes and subscribers and Twitter followers and Blue Sky followers and LinkedIn, are they called followers on LinkedIn? I don't know. But the more of them that you have, the more better in society you are. So they'll happily get talks from people who are like that because they have some leverage, I suppose. On the flip side, you've made games and they are super successful, or maybe there's one game that's super successful. You're getting so much money then, but you're paying so much in tax, so you need to reinvest that money as soon as possible because you don't want to pay that tax. So what you do is you start a publishing company and you give as much money away as possible so you don't pay tax that year of the year you release your games, and you still get a revenue stream through the games you invested in the future. Honestly, that's probably what I would do if I have a super successful release. We'll see. I nearly forgot. One more thing that I couldn't fit on the slide or in my notes, but I just came into my brain. Make sure that when people ask how much money you've made, when you're not talking about copies anymore, make sure you say it in gross revenue. That way you're not taking into account Steam's cut, taxes, the publisher cut. So that would be like 30% Steam cut, 40% to the publisher, like 20 to 40% into taxes. You made a fraction of the amount of money that you said that you made gross. But you can say cool things then, like, my game grossed over $1 million, and they think you're super rich and super cool. Okay. I realise this is on the internet, and the internet doesn't really understand satire a lot of the time. I'm being sarcastic for most of this. I have injected, like, a bit of truth. Some of the shit is in this I actually do, because I'm an idiot. Some of this is inspired by people I've met. Either way, this is a video. Bye.